What's going on YouTube? Coach Gar here, bringing you another video. This one is on 45, 45, 90 triangles. So I'm going to show you a way to do it not so that you don't have to use Pythagorean theorem if you have this type of triangle. So I hope you enjoy. All right, so this lesson is on the standard G/SRT 3.8, and this one says that we need to define trigonometric ratios and solve problems involving right triangles. That's the learning target. Well, more specifically, the success criteria that I want you to do is you'll be successful when you know the formulas for each side of a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and when you can use them in real-world problems. Okay, so now we are on page 8, and it's asking, how do we arrive at a 45, 45, 90 triangle? Well, these numbers are representing the angles inside of the triangle. So one of them is 90 degrees, the other two are 45 degrees. So what this means for us on the sides is that whenever you see a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the two legs are each going to equal the same thing. So I'm going to do that by represent that with both of them having an X. Now, the hypotenuse is going to be having an equation of X square root of 2. So anytime you see a 45, 45, 90 triangle, you're going to be able to use this. Now, the next part is saying, using the ratios of sides of a triangle with angles 45, 45, and 90, find the missing values given the right triangle. So we're going to be able to answer the ones down here once we know that the legs are, and like I said up here, are congruent. And in case you forgot the symbol for congruent, it's that equal sign with the squiggly above it. Okay, so for the first example, they want us to find the variables. There are two variables that we have to find. So what they gave us is a square. And when you have a square, every single angle is 90 degrees. Now, the reason I knew this was a square is because this side's 45 degrees. This side's 45 degrees, so that makes this one 90. And also these markings here saying that they're congruent, what also tells me that this is a 45-degree angle. So if they're all 45, 45, 90, both of these triangles, that tells me that this side's also 15 and these sides are also 15. So I've already figured out that y equals 15 just by what they already gave us. Now, the x value, that one is the hypotenuse, and above, we said that to find the hypotenuse, it has that equation of x square root of 2. So in this case, instead of x, we're going to put one of the lengths. So it's going to have, for x, it's going to be 15 square root of 2. And we can leave our answer just like that. Okay, so now we're looking at the last problem on page 8. What they have given us is a right angle. They've said this degree is 45. They didn't tell us this angle, and they only told us this side is 7 square root of 2. Well, since I see that this side's 45 and this side's 90, I also know this side's 45. The reason I know this is because that when you add up all the sides inside a triangle, it has to equal 180. So 90 plus 45 plus 45 equals 180. Now, when you have a special right triangle that is the 45, 45, 90, we were just taught that these two sides have to be congruent. So if both sides are congruent, if this leg is 7 square root of 2, this leg is also 7 square root of 2. So I know that x equals 7 square root of 2. So now to find y, which is our hypotenuse, we were saying earlier that it has the equation x square root of 2. Well, or x times the square root of 2. So in this case, we said x is 7 square root of 2. So we have 7 square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Now, whenever you see this, if you have the two radicals multiplying, I can only multiply what's inside the radicals together. So the 7's not going to change. And now it's multiplying with the square root of 4, because the square root of 2 and the square root of 2 multiplied together. Well, square root of 4 is a perfect square, and the square root of 4 is 2. So really I have 7 times 2, and 7 times 2 is 14. So y equals 14. Okay, so the next problem we're looking at is page 9, number 7. Now, this one says the diagonal of a square is 10 inches. Find the length of a side. So, first thing I'm going to want to do is go ahead and draw it out. So, I'm dealing with a square. So, all sides must be equal. And then they also, but what they told me a length of was its diagonal. So normally the inside of a square, all angles are 90 degrees. But because we have a diagonal, that actually cut them in half. So what we are dealing with is a 45, 45, 90 triangles. So there's two of those types of triangles there. And this length is 10. So knowing the diagonal length, that's going to make it so I can find out the side lengths. So what we want to do is use the formula that we were using earlier. So we said that the hypotenuse, in this case they call it the diagonal, it has the equation x square root of 2. Okay, so in this case though, this x square root of 2 equaled 10. So what we need to do is get x by itself to figure out our side lengths. So the next step would be to divide each side by the square root of 2. So you have x equals 10 over the square root of 2. Now I can't have a square root in a denominator, so now what I'm going to do is multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 2. This is going to make it so we end up not having a square root in the bottom, and I'll show you how. So right now you have x equals 10 square root of 2, because I can't actually combine them, over the square root of 4. Now you might be going, well, Coach Carr, you just said you can't have a square root in the denominator. Well, this is what happens when it becomes a square root of 4. That's a perfect square. So what you really have is 10 square root of 2 over 2, because the square root of 4 is 2. So the little hint is when you're multiplying the top and the bottom by the square root, whatever that number is, it's just going to become that number. So now you have 10 square root of 2 over 2. Now I can still simplify this down because 2 can go into 10. I'm not going to do anything with it going into the radical because this I can't combine, but I can do something with the 10 divided by 2. And when I do that, I get 5 square root of 2. And that is my answer. So each length of the side is 5 square root of 2. And you can keep your answer just like that. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Thank you for watching. make sure to hit that like button, ring that bell, get all your notifications, and then also after doing this short video, I want to make sure that you do exit slips number 4 and 5. So number 4 is a little on some of the more simple problems, and number 5 is a pretty challenging one. So I want you to really do your best on both.